The rise of KP Oli from revolutionary to prime minister, Khadga Prasad Sharma Oli, better known as KP Oli, has been a prominent figure in Nepali politics for decades. Born in 1952, his early life was marked by political activism. He joined the Communist Party of Nepal in 1966, participating in the Hapa rebellion against the monarchy in 1969. This act of defiance landed him in prison for 14 years. A period that solidified his communist ideology. After his release in 1987, Oli rose through the ranks of the Communist Party, becoming a key figure in the movement to abolish the monarchy and establish a republic. His charisma and oratory skills resonated with the masses, propelling him to the forefront of Nepali politics. In 2015, he achieved the pinnacle of power, becoming the Prime Minister of Nepal for the first time. Oli's political journey, from revolutionary to prime minister, has been marked by both triumphs and controversies. While his supporters hail him as a strong leader who challenged the status quo, his critics accuse him of authoritarian tendencies and a lack of transparency. This dichotomy has defined his leadership, casting a long shadow over his legacy. Despite the controversies, Oli remained a popular figure, particularly among his base who admired his strongman persona. However, his second stint as prime minister, beginning in 2018, saw a dramatic escalation in corruption allegations, which would ultimately tarnish his image and have far-reaching consequences for Nepal. A cloud of corruption scandals plague Oli's tenure. Oli's second term as prime minister was marred by a series of high-profile corruption scandals that rocked the nation. These scandals, ranging from questionable procurement deals to allegations of political favoritism, eroded public trust, and raised serious concerns about the integrity of his government. One of the most prominent scandals involved the procurement of wide-body aircraft for Nepal Airlines. In 2015, the government signed a deal to purchase 2 Airbus A330 aircraft, but the deal was plagued by allegations of irregularities and inflated prices. An investigation revealed that the government had overpaid for the aircraft by billions of rupees, sparking public outrage. Another scandal involved the awarding of a contract to Chinese tech giant Huawei to build a digital action room for the Prime Minister's office. The contract, worth millions of dollars, was awarded without a competitive bidding process, raising suspicions of favoritism towards the Chinese company. The deal was eventually scrapped after facing intense scrutiny from the media and opposition parties. Beyond these specific cases, Oli was accused of fostering a culture of impunity within his government, where corruption could flourish unchecked. Critics pointed to the weakening of anti-corruption institutions and the lack of action against high-profile individuals accused of wrongdoing as evidence of his administration's tolerance for graft. As these scandals mounted, so too did the pressure on Oli to address the issue of corruption head-on. However, his government's response was widely seen as inadequate, further fueling public anger and distrust. The perception that Oli was turning a blind eye to corruption within his own ranks would have significant repercussions for Nepal's international standing, culminating in the country's grey listing by the Financial Action Task Force. The Lalita Niwas affair, accusations of shielding the elite. While the aforementioned scandals cast a wide net of suspicion over Oli's governance, it was the Lalita Niwas land grab case that brought the accusations of corruption closest to home. This scandal, involving the illegal transfer of prime government land to private individuals, implicated high-ranking officials and exposed what critics saw as a blatant abuse of power. The Lalita Niwas case revolved around a sprawling property originally belonging to the Nepali royal family. Over several years, a complex web of fraudulent transactions saw portions of this valuable land transferred into the hands of private individuals, including businessmen and politically connected figures. The scale of the scam, estimated to involve billions of rupees, shocked the nation. What made the Lalita Niwas case particularly damaging for Oli was the accusation that he had actively shielded key figures involved in the scam. Bim Rawal, a former leader of Oli's own party, publicly accused the Prime Minister of pressuring the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority to drop charges against certain individuals in exchange for them returning the stolen land. This alleged interference in the judicial process, coupled with the perception that Oli was protecting his allies while making an example of lower-level officials, deepened public cynicism and fueled accusations of a cover-up. The Lalita Niwas affair became a symbol of the perceived rot within Oli's government. reinforcing the image of an administration more concerned with self-preservation than upholding the rule of law. The fallout from the Lalita Niwas scandal, along with the numerous other corruption allegations plaguing his government, would have a devastating impact on Nepal's international reputation. The country's financial system, already facing scrutiny for its lax regulations, found itself under the microscope, ultimately leading to its inclusion on the FATF grey list. Section 4. Nepal in the grey: the fallout of FATF's decision. In February 2025, Nepal received a blow to its international standing when it was added to the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. This designation, signifying that a country has significant shortcomings in combating money laundering and terrorist financing, sent shockwaves through Nepal's financial sector and painted a grim picture of the nation's governance under KP Oli. The FATF, an intergovernmental organization dedicated to combating financial crime, placed Nepal on its watch list after years of expressing concerns about the country's weak anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing framework. Despite repeated warnings and opportunities to address the deficiencies, Nepal failed to implement adequate measures, ultimately leading to its grey listing. While the FATF listing did not impose direct sanctions on Nepal, it carried severe reputational damage and economic consequences. Being branded as a high-risk jurisdiction for financial crime sent a chilling message to international investors, financial institutions, and correspondent banks, who became wary of engaging in transactions with Nepali entities. The FATF decision was a direct indictment of Oli's leadership and his government's failure to address systemic issues within Nepal's financial system. Critics argued that the rampant corruption under Oli's watch, coupled with the lack of political will to strengthen regulatory oversight, had created an environment where illicit financial flows could thrive, ultimately landing Nepal on the FATF grey list. Section 5. Economic and reputational consequences: a nation under scrutiny. The FATF's decision to grey-list Nepal sent immediate ripples through the country's economy and cast a long shadow over its international reputation. The designation, seen as a badge of shame by many, eroded investor confidence and threatened to further isolate Nepal from the global financial system. One of the most immediate impacts was felt in the financial sector, where banks and financial institutions faced increased scrutiny from correspondent banks, particularly those based in the United States and Europe. These banks, wary of potential penalties for facilitating transactions with high-risk jurisdictions, became reluctant to process transactions involving Nepali entities, leading to delays, higher costs, and in some cases, outright refusals. This heightened scrutiny had a cascading effect on businesses across various sectors, particularly those reliant on international trade and foreign investment. Small and medium-sized enterprises, already grappling with limited access to finance, found it even more challenging to secure loans and conduct cross-border transactions, hindering their growth and competitiveness. Beyond the immediate economic fallout, the FATF listing tarnished Nepal's international reputation, portraying the country as a risky destination for foreign investment. This negative perception, fueled by the widespread corruption scandals that plagued Oli's tenure, made it even more difficult for Nepal to attract foreign direct investment, crucial for job creation and economic development. As Nepal grappled with the economic and reputational consequences of the FATF grey listing, the international community kept a close eye on the country's efforts to address its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing deficiencies. The pressure was on for Oli's government to demonstrate its commitment to reform and restore Nepal's standing in the global arena. Section 6. A legacy tarnished: Oli's impact on Nepal's financial integrity. The FATF grey listing served as a stark reminder of the fragility of Nepal's financial system and the long-lasting impact of corruption on a nation's global standing. While the country faced an uphill battle to address its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing shortcomings and extricate itself from the grey list, the episode left an indelible mark on KP Oli's legacy, raising questions about his leadership and its consequences for Nepal's future. Oli's critics argued that his tenure was marked by a blatant disregard for good governance and a failure to address the root causes of corruption that had plagued Nepal for decades. The numerous scandals that engulfed his administration, coupled with his perceived tolerance for cronyism and his administration's attempts to weaken oversight mechanisms, created an environment where illicit financial flows could flourish unchecked. The FATF gray listing, a direct result of these systemic failures, served as a wake-up call for Nepal, highlighting the urgent need for comprehensive reforms to strengthen its financial integrity and restore international confidence. The task ahead was daunting, requiring not only legislative changes but also a fundamental shift in political will and a commitment to transparency and accountability at all levels of government. As Nepal embarked on the long and arduous journey to reform its financial system and rebuild its reputation, the legacy of KP Oli's leadership remained intertwined with the country's struggle to combat corruption and secure its place in the global economy. The FATF gray listing served as a stark reminder that the consequences of weak governance and unchecked corruption extended far beyond national borders, impacting a nation's ability to attract investment, foster economic growth, and secure a prosperous future for its citizens.